Hello, everyone. Let's see if I can get a few people in here watching. Let's see if I can share it here. Give me a second. I'm trying to get this to work. All right, one more place to share, then I'll be doing it. Sharing it. Yay. Seeing what we got. Okay, so this is a live stream. Ooh, whoops. Hang on a second. Gotta grab one thing. I almost forgot. Give me a sec. One sec. Ah. Video content. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. So I wanted to chat with some people about world building and world building as I see it. Now, I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I have played with a little bit of world building, and some of it has been collaborative, and some of it's just been spending a lot of time thinking about it. What the heck is this? Incompatible power source to connect to. What? Shut up. This is the right power source, you dummy. Oh, you computers. With your lies. All right, there we go. And I do apologize. Actually, I don't know why I'm wearing this hat. I was trying to not care about my hair, and I realized in the thumbnail I took a picture with this crazy hair, so who cares? World building. World building is something that I've been working on with the Iron Detective for a long time, and I think something that anybody faces, any kind of storyteller, be it a filmmaker, writer, comic book creator, comic book writer, comic book creator. I mean, all of these. I think any problem that anybody has, I think all creative types can identify with the problem of, getting a world built if you want to tell a large story. And I've kind of been bouncing back and forth on that for a few years now. What's difficult for me is just I show people the world, and it's like people are like, well, what's this about? I don't get it. What's it about? And it could partially be because, and I'm just saying, I could be wrong, so please correct me if I'm wrong, but it kind of feels like that people want to know the story before they take in the story. I don't know if that makes any sense, but let me explain. Apologize for 1 second. This is going to be loud. 1 sec. I got to take Velcro off my boot here because my circulation's starting to hurt, so I need to take a break from this. I think one thing that people have to deal with is the fact that we live in a culture now where not everybody wants to do this, so I can't paint people in broad strokes. But hold on, let me mute this. Um, but what I can say is that you've got like channels and websites and Reddits and, well, maybe not Reddits, but I mean just different links to the internet is a wild and crazy world, and you actually have people that actually go out looking for spoilers. That actually go out looking for endings to potential stories, or hey, let's get this costume shot. This costume shot was leaked. People want to be the first to know everything, even if they're wrong. That does spread into like more than the entertainment industry, but the entertainment industry is rampant with that kind of stuff. And I feel like sometimes when people ask me questions about the Iron Detective, I'm like, "Have you watched, any of the shorts that we've produced?" They're like, "Well, no." I'm just like, maybe you should watch them, or if you're not interested, then why are you asking me questions? Now, I don't mean that in a rude way. I just mean it's kind of like it's very frustrating to try and explain something. And to be fair, I didn't know all the world at the very beginning when I was in high school. I mean, I was still learning who I was as a person. Now I'm an adult. I still act like a kid in a lot of ways, but I'm an adult. I have kids. I have bills. I have all kinds of things, and I feel like that the story I'm trying to tell is something that I would want to see now, not so much as maybe I would want to see when I'm a teenager. Because I get it. Most kids nowadays seem to be really into anime. They seem to really be into specific, lore and everything. And there's entire videos and channels that are devoted to lore. The lore of Lord of the Rings, the lore of Star Wars, the lore of Game of Thrones. Um, all that stuff, and that's like an incredible amount of time and energy for people to devote to that. But if you're a fan and you're passionate about it, then of course you want to dive into the lore and you want to know all the little secrets and you want to know how this person got that scar on their head at that point in that war or whatever, or why this person doesn't trust this person or whatever. I mean, that kind of stuff is interesting because it gives you some context for a story. But what's frustrating to me is that, and this is completely a product of the time that we're in, there is so much stuff out there that your stuff tends to get lost. Your stuff tends to get buried in, the thousands of other things that people are throwing at people. Just perusing any social media site, you get, shellacked by ads and, commercials and pre-rolls. And um, it's kind of like Blade Runner, except you have one monitor that feeds you all this information. And I mean, it's kind of insane. It's kind of crazy. So I guess if I could give advice to anybody, it would just be, write what is called and not in a religious sense, but just like a pitch Bible for your project. Your characters, the world they're in, have all that stuff ready to go. Try and keep it short. 5 pages is about as much as anybody would stand to read, unless you're just telling an epic story. And you can go further than that, but you really have to keep it, direct and to the point. The whole purpose of a pitch Bible is not to, in my opinion, it's not to just throw it out there and be like, hey, yeah, take a look at this. It's kind of an overview. It's kind of a suggestion of the world and where it could go and who wants what, and your characters have to be fleshed out and developed enough to want specific things. There has to be antagonists that maybe want the same thing or want the exact opposite. So they're both competing for the same goal, type of thing. Um, but the pitch Bible and the outline, if you will, is something that you could present to somebody if you want to collaborate. If you want to commission an artist, for example, hey, what's this world about? I don't know anything about this. You can always use frames of reference, but it's good to have personal personal touch and personal things built into your story that you like, that you're interested in, and it will either connect with somebody or it won't. But there is a point where you know, and I'm speaking out of frustration, so my view is probably a little more cynical than perhaps other people. But I get a little tired of trying to explain my world because I'm just like I do explain it ad nauseum, and I want people to understand it, and I try. I make I've made a couple music videos of you know with footage and like pop songs and stuff because I want to practice my music video cutting, but also because I was like, this song is something I don't get tired of, and I've got access to this footage, so let's see what happens. And I've tried to tell little mini stories with those tracks, and to me it makes sense, but to other people it may not. I'm a very specific individual. I have a very specific point of view. My point of view does align with some people, but not always with everybody else. And I don't know. I guess I'm talking out of I feel like the campaign that we're running is in a little bit of a slump, which is normal because Kickstarters do have that. There's a lot of other stuff going on right now too, the election and the coronavirus and lots of other things that people are concerned about and talking about on social media. They don't have time to look at my little book campaign and say, oh, well, what's this about? Because it does require some time investment. And a lot of people are very selfish with their time now, understandably so. So that means to me that the problem that you might have with world building is that does the world offer a point of entry for somebody who may not know much about you, but they don't really care about you. They are interested in the world that you presented, like your log line. You know, my log line kind of goes something. I had it memorized and my brain got fried. No, my log line is something to the effect of, cybernetic police officer must take on a state-of-the-art serial killer. Which has told of, that could cross a lot of, boundaries and worlds and everything. But people are like, okay, that sounds interesting, but what's that about? So they have to click on the link. They have to watch the videos to kind of like, oh, the state of the serial killer is in the future, or something like that. But that's a very basic, story. And if what might turn some people off is they're like, oh, it's a story about a cop, not interested. And oh, it's a story about a serial killer, definitely not interested. That's not going to appeal to everybody. That might only appeal to a very specific niche audience or niche audience, however you say it. But what I'd like to say is, as far as world building goes, have a log line and then back that log line up with a supporting document, which is most likely a pitch Bible. And, have that world built up. And, you can spell everything out and have, little like PowerPoint presentations even set up explaining the world. And there'll still be people that just goes over their head. And you got to be patient. You've got to accept that. I've been dealing with that for a long time. And, it's, in my head, the story plays out the way I want it to. So that's kind of like, that's for me, that's great. But it's also like, man, I think people would kind of dig this story if I could just get it out there. So for example, if you haven't seen The Iron Detective in action, there is a book on Amazon Prime called Sentinel, The Iron Detective Sentinel. It used to be called The Iron City Chronicles, but it's been changed to The Iron Detective. If you have Amazon Prime Video and you have access to Amazon Prime Video, or you got your friend's password or whatever, you can watch it for free right there on Amazon. Watch it on a big TV with good sound, and take your time. And you know what? If you can, put down your phone, put your phone on airplane mode, and just watch it and let yourself get sucked into the world. Because I think it will resonate with some people. It may not resonate with everybody, but I've worked very hard, and a lot of other people worked very hard to bring that world to life. And I'm going to be blunt. It's kind of insulting if you want to tell me what to do with my story, but you've never even ingested any of what content we've already put out. I'm not specifically speaking to anybody, but I am saying if you are interested in the world and you can spare 40 minutes, which is not that difficult to do, grab some popcorn, grab a drink, and watch the shorts. A lot of good people worked on it, and it's a good example of what we can do in our city. Um, I collaborated with other people around, the world on it as well, but for the most part, it was all a middle America story told by a guy from Kansas. So I don't know. I'm trying not to come off as rude. I feel like I'm failing, but I don't mean any disrespect. I just feel a little annoyed that some people are just like, it's like, hey, I'll take the time to read your script, you know, and you take the time to watch my shorts, and then come at me with, your questions. And to be fair, there's a lot of cliffhangers in that because there's only so much you can afford to do on no budget. So there's a lot of things I left hanging. It's like, if we could progress this story further. And again, with my artist friend Simeon, doing the art on the comic book, the plan is to make that book. I mean, we can make it look and sound as expensive as we want because the only limits are our pitch Bible and our story and our, Sims drawing abilities, which is, some of the best I've ever seen. And, we have the ability to um, not be held by actor schedules and things like that. The only schedule we have to deal with right now is the end of the campaign or the Kickstarter. And, a lot of people say the last 48 hours is the most important, which, I agree, but I would like to see some growth before then because, it gets exhausting. I've been trying to pitch this for a while, so I sound like I'm whining. I should probably stop. I guess, if you guys are interested, cool. If you're not, that's cool too. Do whatever you got to do. But I am saying this also because I've had a few people hit me with a message or two saying, wow, you're posting about this thing a lot. It's like, well, yeah, because I'm passionate about it. I've been passionate about it for a long time. I put, like I said, I put a 60-day campaign out because I want to have time to talk to people and get to know them. But now we're past, the 30-day mark. We have 24 days to go, and we have 32 backers, which is actually pretty good. So thank you for those backers who did reach out and post and all that. I want to say thank you to you guys because you obviously see something that is has potential, which I appreciate. Um, and some of you are friends of mine, which I appreciate you supporting the art. But I guess if I could give one advice about world building, or a little bit of advice, is have a log line that is kind of gives like you know it poses a question, like what if such and such. I mean, maybe I could change my log line to a question instead of a statement. What if a cybernetic, you know, police officer had to stop a state of the art serial killer who's a master of disguise, or, I mean, that kind of gets into more plot description, but I mean, you know, have an intriguing log line. Make sure it's intriguing to you. Um, and if you are passionate about it and you build it and you work on it, you make yourself the pitch Bible and you have like, your characters, your plot, the story, the stakes, all that stuff. There's like tons of templates on that, but you know, the one that I have personally, I'm still polishing it all the time because I'm like, that doesn't really work. So I'll trim that little bit of fat out and put this little piece of protein in there that helps. But then once you get that, then you can start, building on that world and, drawing a sketch or, taking a still picture that you take of somebody in a specific costume. Maybe they are the character, and doing a little bit of Photoshop work on it to make it look like something specific. So, but anyways, that's all I've got. It's almost 20 minutes. Sounds like there's a dog fight going on outside, so I better check it out. make sure my dog doesn't try and get into it. But anyways, guys, that's my rant advice thing. So I hope you're all having a good day, and I'll talk to you later. See ya.